When my daughter-in-law said I was too much drama for the family gala, I didn't argue. I just smiled and reached for the court order in my purse. By the time she took the stage, truth itself had a spotlight. That night was only the beginning. When the last of the mourners drifted out of my house, the air went flat, like someone had pulled the plug on all the sound. The lilies from the church sat in crystal vases, already turning sweet and heavy. Outside, a neighbor's radio hummed a gospel tune about crossing Jordan, and the house joined in with its old bones creaking against the March wind. I stood in the doorway of the parlor, my son's laughter still hanging in the wallpaper, though Merritt Claiborne was gone. His kindness lingered in every corner, that stubborn, patient kind of love. I could still hear the hospital beep, that slow rhythm I tried to match my prayers to, until it stopped. Cass and Junia moved through the room like hired help, not children. They cleared the dishes too quickly, whispering between themselves, their phones lit up under the foyer table. Faces glowing blue in the dim. I watched without speaking. Grief has its own quiet surveillance. It sharpens your eyes when your heart is raw. Ida May, faithful as sunrise, gathered plates and whispered, "I'll lock up, Miss Odessa." Her eyes flicked toward the family wall, then away again. "Baby, let the Lord hold you tonight," she said, before leaving me in a silence so thick it had shape. I sat in Merritt's favorite chair, rubbed the arms smooth, the way I used to soothe him when he was small. The whisper came back, faint and steady as a breeze through pine trees. "Look behind the frames." The hospital came rushing in like a wave, his cold fingers, his voice rasping against my ear. "Mama, look behind the frames." All of them. I told myself it was the morphine talking. In church. We call those crossing words. The mind flickers between here and the next place. Still, that sentence sat heavy in me, a coin I couldn't swallow or spend. I tried anchoring myself in paperwork. Death certificates, casseroles, condolence cards. I said a prayer out loud, steady as I could manage. "Lord, keep my mind steady and my feet planted." But then the whisper returned. Not from memory this time. It felt like instruction. Cass's voice from earlier replayed in my head. "We've got it, Mom." Junia had hovered by the kitchen, steering folks away from Merritt's study twice. Cass stepped outside for calls he wouldn't take near me. My phone buzzed with a group message about estate logistics, like my son's life could be boxed and labeled overnight. I decided not to confront them. When people overmanage your grief, they're managing something else. I walked down the long hallway lined with family photos. Baptisms, graduations, weddings. The Claiborne story told in oak and glass. The house smelled faintly of lemon polish and old varnish. A picture of Merritt as a boy. Crooked smile. One collar point turned up, one I always kept, though he hated it. Mothers keep the truth as well as the trophies. A faint shadow caught my eye. One frame wasn't flush against the wall. My heart tapped once. Slow but strong. "Lord, if this is foolishness, stop me," I whispered, and reached for the frame. The wood was cool, almost damp. I fetched a screwdriver from the kitchen drawer, every black woman's secret tool for life's small repairs, and knelt on the rug. The nail gave with a squeal. Sharp in the stillness, Ida May's polishing rag slid down like a surrender flag. The paper backing looked newer than it should, like someone had sealed it again. "Son," I murmured, "don't have me chasing ghosts." But something in the way the tape resisted told me this was no hallucination. I lifted the edge carefully, the glue sighing as it peeled away. The clock in the hallway ticked louder than it ever had. Under the paper, an envelope pressed against the wood, my name, Odessa Claiborne, written in Merritt's hand. I touched the letters, tracing each curve like Braille. The house held its breath. I set the envelope on the mantel, staring at the rest of the frames lined up like silent witnesses. "If there's sin here, it rots in the dark," I whispered. "If there's truth, it belongs to the living." The seal broke with a soft crack. Inside was another envelope, heavier. I held it to the lamp. Something slid inside, hard like a card. Cass's car door slammed outside. Footsteps crossed the porch. He was early. I slipped the letter into my apron just as the front door opened. Cass's keys turned in the door just as I slid Merritt's envelope deeper into my apron. The sound hit me like a judge's gavel, too sharp for this quiet hour. "Mom, we need to talk about those frames." His voice carried authority, not comfort, like he was managing a client instead of visiting his mother. I could see the glow from his phone before I saw his face, thumb hovering, ready to report to someone. "Coffee?" I asked. "Already pouring." "Decaf's fine?" He shook his head, eyes flicking past the lilies browning on the credenza. "Why are you going through old pictures, Mom?" I stirred sugar slow, watching his reflection in the window. "Because your brother told me to." He exhaled through his nose, muttering something about grief and boundaries, therapy words that sound like kindness until they're used to shut you down. At the kitchen table, I set down a reheated church pie and a casserole someone left in a floral dish. "Eat while it's warm," I said. "Ordinary food for an extraordinary night." Cass smiled that polite lawyer smile. "Maybe I can help organize the wall tomorrow." "You shouldn't overdo it." I caught the code. "Control the narrative." "When folks say, 'let me handle it,'" I murmured, "they mean a let me hide it." His eyes narrowed. "I just meant maybe an estate planner could—" "Sunday first," I cut in. "We don't do big decisions in fresh grief." His phone buzzed. A text he flipped face down like a guilty man's tell. "I'll fetch the sugar," I said lightly, using the moment to check the envelope still tucked in my apron seam. It was by morning. The house carried that tender stillness between night and day. Ida May hummed a gospel tune while dusting, the air clean and sharp. I moved through the hallway of frames with my reading glasses dangling on a chain, towel under my arm, screwdriver in hand, every old woman's toolkit. Some backings looked newer, edges sealed too tight. The christening photo of Merritt had fresh craft paper, the kind you buy in bulk now, not the kind I used 40 years ago. Ida May glanced down the stairs. We'd been passing silent signals since Cass was in diapers. The clock struck 8, steady and approving. "All right then, Merritt," I whispered. "Let's see." The tape gave way. Inside, another cream envelope, this one labeled "For Mama," and behind it, a smaller manila sleeve. My pulse stuttered. Inside lay a birth certificate fragment, Ohio, names blacked out, a Polaroid of a young woman holding a baby blanket, eyes red from crying but proud, Loretta Vale, a florist card. I'm trying, M, clipped to it. My thumbs traced the photo like skin. "Who held you when I couldn't—" "Baby?" I whispered. There was also a ledger page, Judge Beckner's name scrawled in Merritt's messy shorthand. I folded everything carefully, slid it into my Bible cover, grandmother's protocol for things too important to trust drawers with. The front door opened again. Cass and Junia arrived with bagels and bright smiles too wide. "Morning, Mama," Junia said in that syrupy PR tone. "We brought breakfast, and we thought maybe we could help you box these up, reduce the visual triggers." She reached for my screwdriver. I held it firm. "I'm not fragile. Junia?" I raised 3 in this house and a husband through a strike. Cass's jaw flexed. "We'll just catalog the photos, upload them, keep things safe." My eyes caught a thin gap on the wall. One frame gone since last night. I shifted slightly, body between them and the mantel. "I'm keeping them where they belong." "Mom," Cass began, "why are you fixated on the past?" "Because your brother asked me to finish what he started." He sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Let us deal with Beckner. Lawyers complicate things." "So does childbirth," I said, voice low. "I survived both." Junia tried again. "Healing doesn't mean digging." I met her gaze. "Healing doesn't hide paper." The silence stretched tight as a clothesline. "If you want to keep a mother from the truth," I said finally, "you better lock up the tools in the Bible." They left eventually. Cass with his jaw set, Junia trailing behind, eyes flicking once toward my apron. Ida May slipped in from the laundry room, pressing a note into my hand. Backs of wedding frames, fresh tape. We spoke in code. "Sheets need airing," she said. I nodded. As they drove off, I went to my bedroom, the old wedding photos hanging straight as soldiers. One frame's back was too new, the paper stiff. Behind it, Beckner's card, a court docket number, and a page of small deposits marked only LV. I resealed it, steady hands, whispering, "Lord, guide my steps." The phone on my nightstand buzzed, a voicemail from an Ohio number. I pressed play. "Miss Claiborne," a man said, voice rough, hesitant. "My name's Daniel Vale. I think Merritt was trying to find me." My hand flew to my chest. The house seemed to hum with the sound of his name. I pressed replay and listened again. I stepped onto the back porch, phone in hand, the air already humming with cicadas and the low rattle of a freight train drifting past the river bend. The yard lights threw soft halos across the azaleas. I pressed redial before fear could whisper second thoughts. "Mr. Vale? This is Odessa Claiborne." His reply came rough and cautious, like gravel under shoes. He said he'd been searching for Merritt, that my son had been wiring money and messages for years until they stopped 2 weeks before he died. The dates lined up exactly with the hospital stay. My knees almost gave, but I steadied against the porch rail. "We'll speak again tomorrow at noon," I said. "No surprises. Son, we do this decent and documented." He agreed. I jotted his Ohio number on a notepad, the habit of a mother who never trusted memory alone. Before hanging up, I whispered a short prayer. "Lord, give me proof clean enough for doubters." Inside, Ida Mae waited by the kitchen table with a tin of sewing notions. She slid it over like we were sharing cornbread, not secrets. Under the pincushion lay a folded deposit slip. Merritt's handwriting, marked LV. "Found it last week cleaning your pantry," she said. "Didn't feel right throwing it away." I unfolded the slip, matching the bank number to the copies I'd made yesterday. "You remember seeing any envelopes addressed out of state?" Ida Mae nodded. "Columbus, Ohio. Certified mail. Been years of it." Her voice lowered. "He always said, 'It's for something good. Miss Odessa.'" The pattern was clear. Mid-month transfers, steady, secret. Judge Beckner's name was scrawled on one corner. I logged each number into my spiral ledger, color-coded columns labeled proof, lead, unknown. "We're not losing this paper trail," I told her. "Not to grief, not to convenience." I texted Cass next. "No wall changes today. Discussion after church, together." Then I screenshotted it. Old woman notarization. He sent back a thumbs-up emoji, then a calendar invite titled Estate Logistics. I declined and countered with Sunday dinner instead. Junia got the same message. I knew better than to let them play telephone with the truth. "Put it in writing when folks like to misremember," I said aloud, mostly for the women watching who knew exactly what I meant. Before evening, I stopped by St. Stephen's. Pastor Ray met me under the live oak. "Coat off, tie loosened. Tell the truth," he said, "but keep your temperature." He prayed over my hands, asking God to make them skilled to open what's sealed and close what's foolish. A deacon's wife passed me a foil-wrapped plate. Macaroni, I think. That's how Southerners arm you for a fight. Prayer and leftovers. "Come by after dinner for cobbler," I told him. We both knew it meant be present when things break loose. By 6, the house smelled of collards and cornbread. I set the table myself. Red beans, rice, comfort on porcelain. Cass came in with a folder he didn't release from his hand. Junia's smile could have been printed on a brochure. "No phones at the table," I said. "We're a family first." Cass rested the folder beside his plate, foot hooked around the chair leg like a man ready to bolt. Junia opened soft. "What's healthiest is not dwelling." I smiled. "Healthy is naming what's true so it stops festering." Cass leaned forward. "Mom, have you been tampering with those frames?" "I've been tending them like always," I said evenly. "You're making this harder," he murmured. "There's liability if outside parties get involved." I slid a photocopied deposit slip between the napkins. "Merritt supported someone in Ohio for years. That's not grief talking." Junia's tone chilled. "He already stained our family name. Please don't make it worse." My chair creaked as I straightened. "That's your brother you're talking about. Say stained again in my house, and you'll see the door before dessert. The room held its breath. Even the clock hesitated. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm enough to slice glass. We proceed with documents, not rumor. We meet Judge Beckner. DNA if necessary. Cass opened his mouth. I'll coordinate. You may attend. I cut in. You will not steer, Junia whispered. Are you opening us to claims? Truth ain't a lawsuit, I said, but lies can be. I wrote the meeting date on paper, slid it across. Initial it, they obeyed. Stiff as statues. As I cleared plates, my phone buzzed on the counter. The voicemail preview read, This is Judge Beckner. I can meet tomorrow. There's something Merritt never got to finish. I didn't press play. I just met their eyes, then pocketed the phone. If we were going to bleed, better it be under daylight and a judge's name. Parked beneath the courthouse oaks, the branches throwing lace shadows over the hood of my Buick. My Bible cover rested on the passenger seat, holding copies only. The originals were locked at home. Chain of custody mattered more than perfume or pearls. Inside, the building smelled of floor wax and stale coffee, the scent of old justice. I greeted the deputies by name, traded a smile that said, I'm not nervous. Older women know how to turn courtesy into armor. At the checkpoint, I texted Pastor Lennox a single line. In the building, he'd know to drift by if things got tense. 9:55 a.m., 5 minutes early. I always said, if you're early, you're steady. If you're late, you're already begging. I rehearsed my 3 asks in my head. Authenticate, certify, schedule DNA. Law works best when it's done under daylight. Judge Beckner stood when I entered. Miss Claiborne, he said, formal but warm enough. That tone alone told me he wasn't here for theatrics. His clerk set a small recorder on the desk. Official record. No, he said, she said later. I laid out my color-coded folders. Yellow for proof, blue for leads, pink for unknowns. He nodded, impressed but not surprised. You may scan them, I said. But I keep a stamped copy before anything leaves this table. Fair, he replied. I smiled thinly. Judge, I'm here for clarity, not theater. He leaned back, folding his hands. Good, so am I. He opened a slim file, docket number matching Merritt's scribble. Franklin County, Ohio. Closed adoption, 1996. The folder contained a relinquishment notice, hospital log, and a redacted name. Dates aligned with Loretta Vale's Polaroid. Your son reached out through proper channel, Beckner said. Repeatedly? He showed me a memo referencing a call from an Ohio clerk. Daniel Vale had petitioned to unseal the record, same month as Merritt's final wire. My throat tightened, but I kept my chin up. My boy had done everything right, quiet, lawful, deliberate. Paper had a heartbeat after all. The judge stamped 2 sets of certified excerpts. One for counsel, he said, one for family. I handed him the bank copies next. Small transfers, same date every month, I said. He compared routing numbers to an Ohio trust account. Consistent, he muttered. No lump sums, no concealment. He dictated to the clerk, pattern suggests ongoing good faith support for a biological line. The clack of keys sounded like vindication. He meant to keep it clean. I murmured. The judge nodded. He did. I requested subpoenas for bank records. You'll have them by Monday, he said. Real-life truth. Steady deposits build character faster than grand gestures ever will. Then Beckner reached into a drawer and withdrew a thick, sealed envelope. To Daniel Vale, he read aloud. My breath caught. Attached was a notarized affidavit in Merritt's handwriting. He mailed this when chemo began, the judge said. Wanted delivery only upon confirmed relation. I stared at the signature. Merritt's loops, steady even through pain. I didn't open it. Chain of custody first, mother's curiosity second. We'll read it together, I said. He logged it into temporary evidence with my signature beside his seal. My phone buzzed mid-meeting, Cass texting. Want to sit in? Junia followed with, let's align messaging before you say anything public. I showed the judge. Keep family, but keep process. He advised. I typed back, Discuss at home after counsel. No photos, no screenshots, paper before people. That was my new gospel. I emailed attorney Marla Duval. Certified trail confirmed, sealed letter secured. Her reply came quick. Hold steady, I'm on my way. I breathed out. If they wanted my calm, they'd have to respect my calendar. By the time I signed the last document, Pastor Lennox had appeared at the door. No caller, just a nod. A witness without noise. I gathered my papers, each stamped and logged, slid them into my crossbody. As I stepped outside, sunlight hit the marble so bright I almost had to squint. Truth, when it shows up, doesn't whisper, it blinds. I texted Daniel. Judge confirms sealed letter in Merritt's hand. Meeting tomorrow? You able? His reply came fast. Yes, driving tonight. For a second, I imagined headlights tracing the interstate from Ohio to Louisiana. A boy I'd never met carrying my son's blood. Cass was waiting in the parking lot, tie loosened, folder in hand. Mom, you should have let me in. No copies, no photos, no spin. I said, We meet tomorrow under the judge's roof or you sit it out. That's combative. Why? He hissed. No, I said, opening my car door. That's clean. Clean ain't mean. He called after me about authority and optics. I turned. Calm but final. Succession isn't a crown. Cass, this isn't your coronation. His jaw locked. Junia's voice crackled on speaker. We'll revisit. On paper, I said, and drove off. The phone buzzed once more. Attorney Marla. Heads up, Junia filed a temporary restraining order to block contact with alleged claimants. I'm moving to quash. My hands tightened on the wheel. Knuckles pale. The sunlight looked different now. Too sharp. Too honest. If they wanted a war of paper, I had ink, dates, and a mother's spine. By 4 o'clock, a white sedan rolled up my drive, and a man in a brown jacket stepped out with a clipboard. Miss Claiborne? He asked. Temporary restraining order. The phrase hit like a gavel. He read the language flatly. Daniel labeled as an alleged claimant seeking undue enrichment. I signed the receipt, snapped photos front and back, and made him repeat the service time for my notes. Sir, I said, steady as coffee in my hand, I've been read worse papers by better men. When he left, I texted attorney Marla Duval. Served. Moving to quash. Then I called Daniel. Sit tight, son. We fight this on paper, not on porches. You're not the problem. This order is... I placed the TRO on the kitchen island, added a sticky note. Facts beat fear. 9 a.m. Courthouse. Then I turned off the light. Daniel's truck pulled in just past 9. Porch light on. I stood outside, sweater wrapped tight. We talk under God and a porch light, I said. He carried a binder thick with modest papers. Mechanics certifications, tax forms, photos of 2 teenagers in school jerseys, ordinary proof of an honest life. I poured tea, warm and strong, and gave him 2 rules. We tell the truth clean. We don't rise to bait. He nodded, nervous but grateful. I don't want trouble, he said. I've got kids. We protect children before reputations, I told him. That's the gospel of this house. I took a photo of us at the porch table, time-stamped and stored, not for social media, just for record, beneath that yellow light. His shoulders dropped, like he'd been waiting years for someone to believe him. Morning came hard and bright. At the courthouse annex, Marla filed the motion to quash, attaching Judge Beckner's certified excerpts. I handed over my spiral ledger, the proof Merritt built line by line. The clerk flipped through receipts, pausing on one of Ida May's old notes. This pattern, she said, it's clean. Junia's affidavit claimed brand harm, Marla muttered. Feelings aren't facts. We requested a carve-out to allow contact for the letter reading. I'm not chasing money, I told the magistrate. I'm finishing my son's work, he said a same-day hearing. Small light through thick blinds, but by afternoon, the war of paper turned public. Junia posted a polished statement online, protecting our family's legacy from outside exploitation. A local anchor ran it before sunset. Cass emailed estate preservation protocol, demanding I cease tampering with heirlooms. I replied, CC to Marla and Judge Beckner. No one touches these walls without my written consent. A neighbor forwarded a gossip thread calling me senile and sentimental. I saved every screenshot, time-stamped. When folks try to shame you in public, I murmured. Move the meeting to a courtroom. Marla agreed, filed notice of executor overreach before the ink on their PR statement dried. That night, I moved through the hallway of frames with cotton gloves, each one photographed, cataloged, sealed. The brown tape on Merritt's wedding photo was intact, thank God. I replaced the originals with high-res duplicates, storing the real ones in a deposit box downtown. 2 invisible tamper seals lined each edge. If touched, they'd bloom purple. Ida May watched and signed the chain of custody log beside me. "We ain't just cleaning, baby," she whispered. "We testifying." I texted Pastor Lennox the file. He sent back a single word. Witnessed. By sunrise. Cass's property manager appeared at my gate waving a verbal order to inventory decor. No written authorization. I said, no entry. When he threatened police, I called first. Widow homeowner, I explained. Seeking clarification on unauthorized inventory, the officers came, saw the deed and the TRO's limits, and told him to leave. I handed the man a letter. All requests must go through counsel. Do not return without notice. He left red-faced. Minutes later, Junia called. "You're creating optics," I said. "I'm creating a record." Pastor Lennox arrived with peach cobbler, a wall of quiet strength in an apron. Cameras can't twist cobbler. By evening, the local segment aired. Inheritance dispute, Cloud's Claiborne estate. My gate filled the screen. I released a statement through Marla. Court-supervised identification underway. We ask for privacy. No drama, no shade. Dignity travels farther than scandal. The joint meeting for the letter was set for tomorrow. Invitations sent to Cass and Junia. Attendance optional. Daniel texted, "I'll be there." I answered, "Come through the north door. Near midnight, my inbox pinged. Subject line. For Odessa, what Merritt tried to tell you." One audio file. I pressed play. A gravelly male voice spoke. "He paid me every month to make sure the boy stayed safe." Glass clinked. Claiborne didn't owe me a dime after the first year, but he kept paying anyway. The file cut off. Metadata. Downtown motel Wi-Fi. I sat in the kitchen dark, heart steady but heavy. If money could prove love, that voice had just counted it out loud. When I entered Judge Beckner's chambers, I took a seat facing every door. Marla sat beside me. Pastor Lennox behind, Daniel at the end of the table. Cass and Junia were opposite, polished, cold. The judge began, "We're here to verify, not perform." I placed my ledger and custody log before him. "Your Honor, I'm a church lady with receipts." He smiled faintly. I slid Daniel a notebook. "Write questions, not words you'll regret." The clerk photographed the sealed envelope. Daniel opened it, hands trembling. Merritt's handwriting flowed across 3 pages. Apologies, truth, love. He'd hidden Daniel's birth to spare him shame. Daniel whispered, "He didn't quit on me." I touched his arm. He never would. Marla produced the certified adoption order, stamped just last week. Cass's lawyer blinked, caught off guard. I showed my ledger, monthly transfers marked LV. Junia muttered. "Optics," the judge said. "Money leaves a trail. Optics leave a shadow." Cass's counsel stood. "Executor requests custody of all frames." Marla objected. "Widow's rights, no proof of risk." Junia projected slides about legacy. "All polish and no truth." Cass called me emotional and Daniel opportunist. Pastor Lennox spoke up. "This woman's been strong enough to bury her own," I said evenly. "I'm not selling the frames. I'm reading the truth in them." The judge delayed the subpoena. Cass's jaw tightened. Marla rose again. "Your Honor, one witness." A retired bookkeeper testified she'd logged Merritt's payments in the 90s. Then we played the audio, gravelly voice. "He paid me each month to keep the boy safe." Junia objected. Marla countered. "It supports the ledger." The judge allowed it, Daniel whispered. "I know that voice." The room fell silent. Daniel laid out his proof, work papers, tax slips, his kids' photos. I added our porch photo. The judge studied both, then nodded. "Truth doesn't shout." I placed Merritt's old hospital photo beside Daniel's. Resemblance undeniable. Love kept a ledger, I said quietly. Judge Beckner quashed the TRO, ordered supervised cataloging of the frames, and compelled Cass to release his brand harm emails. Daniel got clearance to read Merritt's letters under court eye. "No more statements to the press," the judge warned. "In the hallway," Daniel murmured. "He remembered me," I answered. "He raised you on paper." "Baby." Cass approached. "End this quietly. I'll expand your stipend." "I'm not for sale," I said. Junia smiled thinly. "Legacy is fragile." "So's a mother's heart," I replied. "Pastor Lennox told me." "Go eat something warm." I nodded. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "We should talk about Henry's payments." A selfie appeared, an older man. Chin scar. Same voice from the audio. Name's Vernon Pike. Your boy Merritt kept his promise. Truth had a face now, and that face knew my doorbell. Vernon Pike stood on my porch at dusk, scar catching the light. I handed him a plate and pointed at the chair. "You'll eat, then talk. God and the recorder are both running." He nodded, eyes tired. I started the tape, saying the date, time, and reason. Pastor Lennox was on speaker, Marla on text standby. Vernon wasn't proud, he was finished with secrets. "Your boy paid me like clockwork," he said. "Every month, small bills, sometimes cash orders through St. Thomas Credit Union. He never missed Easter." I asked him about the storm year. He remembered a soaked envelope left under my screen door. Liars don't remember rain. He pulled a pocket ledger from his jacket. Grease-stained, edges frayed, inside. Dates matched my own LV notes. Then came a manila envelope, 5 money order stubs. 2 slips signed H. The handwriting was Henry's. He also handed me a prepaid phone filled with texts from a J. Holt PR, Junia's alias. The messages read, "Keep Odessa busy. No more frame talk." I screenshotted everything and emailed Marla and the judge's clerk. "Truth walks slow," Pastor said, "but it gets here." Daniel's eyes glistened. He kept us both afloat. We moved to the church hall. Neutral ground, fluorescent light humming. Deacon set the copier. Pastor logged items. Marla's paralegal sealed evidence bags. Vernon signed that he was the source. Daniel initialed every page. I snapped a photo of Vernon beside today's newspaper. Chain intact. Mid-process. Junia texted Daniel. "Cease contact," I replied. "Court day is coming." Headlights sliced the church window. Cass and Junia. The usher blocked the door. "Mrs. Claiborne," Junia said. "Think of the legacy," I answered. "Legacy can stand the truth." Cass tried legal threats. Marla pointed at the camera. "Threat recorded." Daniel spoke steady. "I'm not a scandal. I'm my father's line." Even Cass looked down. I allowed them to observe from the foyer. "You'll get copies by midnight," I said. Marla called a FaceTime witness. A retired nurse, Eloise Drayton. She remembered the night Daniel was born. She showed an affidavit. Henry visited twice. Signed an addendum to support without naming. The signature matched perfectly. Daniel bent forward, trembling. Pastor whispered a prayer. Junia shouted, "Forgery," Marla answered. "Then let's test it," I whispered. "You left a map." "Son." Junia tried her PR charm again. "This hurts donors," I said. "Donors hate lies worse." Then I read from Merritt's letter. "If I don't make it, let the truth make it." The hall fell silent. Marla served Junia a preservation notice, citing her J. Holt PR texts. Vernon slid his union card forward. "I ain't fancy, but I ain't trash." I smiled. "No, sir, your witness." We sealed the bags, tagged them, and assigned the deacon as custodian. Marla outlined next steps, handwriting exam, subpoenas, evidence handoff. I phoned the clerk, calm and direct. Pastor sent men to walk Vernon to his motel. I slipped him an envelope of cash, signed receipt inside. Cass murmured, "Think of what people will say." "They'll say a mother loved the truth," I replied. Later, in the motel lobby, Vernon handed me the prepaid phone. Henry called it a light money, he said. He'd say, "Leave a light, Valerie." Daniel wrote the word light on his palm and laughed softly. We shook hands. "No heroics," I told him. "Call the church, not me?" "Honey," he said, "I'm not running, I'm finishing." Back home. I filed the affidavits behind a frame, right where it began. I texted Ida May, "Truth got a seat tonight." Daniel read the rest of the letter beside me. Shoes off, lights low, routine keeps grief from eating the room. I wrote in my ledger, "Mic drops don't have to be loud." Near midnight, I found a plain envelope on the floor. Inside, a gala brochure and a thumb drive labeled rehearsal. I didn't plug it in. I just locked it under my sink and texted Marla. "Chain of custody starts now." If they had a stage, I had a light, and tomorrow, we'd see who wanted to perform. I logged the thumb drive into a new custody sheet before sunrise, noting the time and seal number while Pastor Lennox listened on speaker. Daniel brewed coffee beside me. Steadier now. "Slow is smooth," I reminded him. "Smooth is fast." He smiled. "Yes, ma'am." I texted Marla our ETA and tucked the drive into a tin box, metal, labeled, ready. The frame in my purse pressed against my ribs like a heartbeat. Keep the picture whole. At Marla's office, her tech set the blocker and opened the drive. The file was named Rehearsal. The video showed Junia practicing her speech at the gala. "Odessa prefers privacy," she said, reading from cue cards, while Cass's voice off-camera ordered, "Cut her from visuals, it plays cleaner." Another clip. "If Daniel pushes, paint him as opportunist." The final slide showed board compensation optics, shift travel charges. I didn't flinch. I'd known the truth long before it got subtitles. Marla printed metadata, sealed evidence copies, and filed an emergency motion. We agreed, court first, gala later. At the courthouse, Judge Beckner ran the hearing like a clock. Marla laid out the chain. Hashes and playback. Junia's lawyer objected. "Lacks context?" The judge frowned as the clip rolled. "Cut her from visuals," echoed across the room. The handwriting expert confirmed Henry's signature on the affidavit. Beckner signed a protective order banning any statements about Daniel and ordering full production of PR emails. He reminded Cass. "Board funds are not a private wallet," I said only. "Yes, Your Honor." That was enough. Before the gala. We gathered in the church office. Pastor prayed. "Let truth walk steady." Marla handed me copies of the order. "If they break it, you read one line, then sit." Our Daniel asked. "What do I call you on stage?" I said. "Mama will do." We laughed quietly. I slipped the order and my church fan into my handbag. Court and comfort in one place. The ballroom glowed with champagne lights. My seat card said Odessa C. Honorary, not Claiborne. I pocketed the insult. Junia's speech rolled with syrup. The family montage blurred my face. Pastor tensed. But I whispered, "Not yet." Then came Cass's slide deck, travel costs disguised as outreach. The crowd shifted, murmuring. When Junia said the line, "Odessa prefers privacy," I rose, calm, clear. "The judge's order says otherwise." I held it high so cameras could see. "There is a rehearsal file. Counsel has it. We won't litigate from a ballroom." Then, steady as scripture, I added, "Let generosity be honest." Applause began small, then spread like a slow wave. Cass's smile vanished. Junia's froze mid-glitter. Minutes later, the board called an emergency vote. Junia was suspended. Cass recused. Donors pledged anew under Daniel's name. Pastor whispered, "Amen." I texted Vernon. "It's moving," he replied. "About time." When I finally took the stage, I spoke for 60 seconds. Our family ledger has 2 lines that meet tonight: Henry Claiborne and Daniel Vale. I lifted the frame from my purse, showing the front and the affidavit taped to the back. "Mama, if I don't make it, let the truth make it." I read. The room stood, silent but full. Daniel exhaled, shoulders free for the first time in years. That night, my table was crowded again. Ida May's roast steamed the windows. The kids laughed. Daniel read part of his father's letter aloud, his voice calm. We rehung the frames, some forward, some facing the wall. "So they can learn to listen first," I told the children, and they giggled. I gave Daniel the shed keys. "It's yours now." I wrote my last line in the ledger. "Mercy is a boundary with a lock." Cass texted. "I'll make it right," I replied. "Do it on paper." Junior resigned for health reasons. Marla forwarded it to the board with the order attached. I switched on the porch light and left it burning, a promise Henry once made me keep. The glow spilled across the porch steps. Steady as a heartbeat, I whispered, 2 sons, 1 truth, 1 light. Then the doorbell rang. 1 more envelope, 1 more truth waiting its turn. The porch light flickered once as I reached for the new envelope. No return address. Only my name written in Henry's old hand. Inside, something small rattled, like a key. I froze. Had he left 1 more truth buried deeper than we thought? Stay with me. Y'all, this isn't over yet.